Hey everyone, good evening. Hey Biz, welcome to Detox, you guys. I hope you guys can hear me okay. We've got a few minutes before we get started with our practice, and so I'll guide you into a 5 minute seated mindfulness meditation. Come into any seated position where your head is above your heart, please. And take the rigidity out of your seat. So if you're forcing in strength to hold yourself up at all, let that loosen up and feel the softness in your shoulders, and you might tick tock the clock of the head side to side a couple times. Here you've probably set up your space, so now it's time to sit in that space. You know, what you can see, the figure of space, the mat, the room that you're in, whatever that may be, that's what you can actualize as the figure of space now, and you get to take yourself as a viable and vulnerable human being and put yourself into that space. The difference with space is that there's no walls built up around it, so it's not like the room that you're in the sense that there's a wall, right, on all four sides. And so we want to let these shields and these guards and these things that we hold on to protect us, let some of that come down and be a little bit more vulnerable as you sit into the space. So head above your heart. You can take one breath to settle, and then you're welcome to join me and close your eyes, but you don't have to. And start to place a soft focus in the observation of your breath. That is a soft focus. It's not a hard driving force like we do in flow, but there is a soft focus. And feel the representation of the breath in different parts of your body. And utilize that as a tool that you can be still with, and that you can ground yourself and to be here on your mat tonight. And should anything else come up along the way, whether it's a feeling or a thought or a sensation in your body, you can sit with that. And you can observe a breath and with anything and remain still. And we'll be here for a few minutes and then I'll call you back. So again, let yourself drop into the space. It happens right now. It's so interesting, and you may feel sensations and pick up on pulsations in different parts of your body. And that should you not have come and sat in the space, you may not have felt. And so it's that realization, it is in the moment where you connect, the union occurs, that is the yoga. And whatever that may be, whatever that looks like for you, you're of course welcome to continue your meditation until we start the practice tonight. If you'd like to bring yourself out, go ahead and take a deep breath, sit up nice and tall. And feel the exhale, the air coming out of your lungs, and the chin can fall towards your chest. And begin to bring your eyes figuratively back into the space, and you can see things and objects in walls, in colors and plants, and everything that is so vibrantly right here with you. Welcome everybody, good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you had a nice day in Los Angeles. It was a very warm day today. It's a nice day to be outside perhaps, unless you don't like the heat, but I have a feeling a lot of you like the heat, being that typically we're doing hot yoga and all of this in a room that's about 100 degrees. Thanks, Andrea. We haven't talked too much about vulnerability in the practice, but I'm going to invite you to explore its meaning. See, things don't mean anything unless they mean something to you. I could say something, you can read it in a book. It's all about the moment where you translate it into a meaning. And besides that, it's just words on a paper, or it's words and coming from somebody else's mouth. And so part of the yoga life adventure and philosophy is that, everything is interpreted through your eyes, your mind, and you have that freedom to explore it versus attaching yourself. Somebody last week in our Yoga Life live chat, asked about dogma, and the dogmatic approach to many things that exist in our world. Well, this is a way to kind of break down the dogma and explore things and how they make sense to you when they make sense to you, and maybe they never make sense to you, and that's okay. So there's a lot of freedom in that. I hope you guys will join me tomorrow at 3 o'clock for the live chat, Yoga Life live chat. You can bring up anything that you want to. You can present any questions, anything that you're feeling in your practice, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and we can dish on that. I always have some kind of topics and things that are coming up for me. So tomorrow I'm going to express a little bit more about mentorship in life, in yoga, in different ways, and how it's, really kind of pinpointed certain transitions and supported transitions in my life. So that's something that I'll share, but you're welcome to bring up or, ask any questions, and we can explore the relatability and relativity through that chat. Yeah, beautiful dusk. Hi, Ari. Hi, Emily from Chicago. Welcome. Hey, Nat. Also, I did, you guys will maybe find this interesting because you're here and you're doing these practices, but I did a little thing for CBS News this morning from the garden here, basically talking about what we're doing to support mental health and the practice of mindfulness and meditation. So that'll be on CBS Online. There's the possibility that it'll be on TV, but I know it's going to be online tomorrow morning at the it's CBS, and it's online, and it's in the 7 o'clock hour tomorrow. So again, it'll be a very familiar setting because I did it from here in the garden. So if you want to check that out, and then I'll post the link. And this is about, we all have the stamina and the endurance to focus ourselves and, stay on the mat for an hour. But what if you don't even have a practice? I was mentioning yesterday, and we're being called as a world to put in play a practice of social distancing or physical distancing. And when you say to somebody practice, they might think of like practicing, of a team sport for the game or whatever. Like the idea of a practice is something fundamentally built into you, but for so many it's not. So I introduce just the invitation to join us for our little 5-minute meditations, because if you don't know, you don't know. And if you don't have the stamina and the endurance and the focus and the distractions and the stress are so heavy, then maybe you never end up going down that road. But check that out if you're interested. And we got 7:30, so I hope you are all settled and you've got your stack. Your stack could be a block, it could be a blanket, it could be a pillow. You guys get it by now, and if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. These stacks are just something that you can bring underneath your body at different points of the practice as we're releasing into these poses. And we'll go ahead and start the playlist on earbuds, and if you would like to stream along from Spotify, you're welcome to start your playlist now. If you have any last moment questions, you can always chat in on the video live chat. And once you get your volume set on your video, on your music, let's go ahead and lie down onto our backs in Shavasana to start our practice this evening. And again, if you're just tuning in for one of the first times, see how long, and you can stay with this practice, yourself, make it all the way. Like if you've never done this before, and you're like, oh, I want to check out this yoga thing or this thing they're calling Detox, and just give it a go, one pose at a time, and feel the effects for yourself. And so we're going to start lying on our backs. And let your legs release long. And reset and settle your hips, and then all the way up into your shoulders. And the truth is that we can all do this, and this practice of mindfulness and meditation is inside all of us. It's there, it's ripe, especially in moments and when we're being challenged. We just need support in order to get to it. And so whether you go through moments where you're elated or where you're challenged or where you're sad during this practice tonight, just know that you're with other people right now. Energetically, of course, but physically there are other people and doing relatively the same thing as you are, which is very rare to find as we're living our lives, as we're dancing through life, as we're opening and sometimes closing and shuttering and then shifting. I was having a chat with a friend today, and we were talking about the pivot. And so many pivots happening right now. How can I pivot on in this situation? How can I turn this into something else? But right now we just need some more space for ourselves and for our bodies and for our minds, and so that we can express with vulnerability and then begin to trust again. And let's take an empty breath here. Fill your lungs on an inhale. And hold that breath into your body at the top, and for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale all the air out of your mouth until your lungs are completely empty. And we're going to let our breath now find its natural rhythm. And then let your knees fall apart, and so you're creating a butterfly shape and with your lower body. And it doesn't matter how tight or how loose the heels are towards your pelvis and towards your bum. And find a space where you can feel your body release. There's no requirements, and it's relative in the shapes, and yours may look a little different than somebody else's. Feel to the point and where you can soften and you can relax most around whatever sensations you might be experiencing. And when you get set into a shape, you are welcome to close your eyes and practice stillness. As you're resting, I want to thank everybody for all of your suggestions. With my mosquito friends, I have many things on, but there are, feels like, hundreds of mosquitoes tonight, so we'll just go with it. It's all part of the practice. And to be vulnerable, everybody, and to open up, we got to take it all in. Power and to delineate what we want and what we don't want. Take it all in. You'll be able to access more space and vulnerability in your being. Let's go ahead and start to turn your knees back up towards each other. And feel your inner thigh muscles coming back to neutral from the stretch. You feel the soles of your feet onto the mat. And as you rest your feet and feel your sacrum, and triangular bone at the base of your spine into the mat. And let your tongue release and your hip flexors soften. Let's go ahead and roll through your right side, please. And come up to a seated position facing towards the top of your mat. As you turn to face the top of your mat, and go ahead and cross your right ankle and your right shin in front of your left. If this is uncomfortable and your hips are really bound up in the flexion, you can take a part of your stack, a block or a blanket, and put it underneath your bum. You can even roll your yoga mat up and behind you. And then elevate your hips a little bit. And this way our focus will be in the outer hips versus in just grinding it out through the inner hip. And then once you got your stack and whatnot set, bring your hands out in front of you. And then first with your hands out in front, just let your bum get heavy. And your shoulders release down into their sockets. And your chin falling towards your chest. And then maintain this relationship of heaviness and softness around your hips and your shoulders and your head. And you have to release the belly voluntarily. Let go of the strength in your core. And then begin to surrender the upper body to the weight of gravity. So if you're holding on, then your muscles are engaged and we're not able to get as deep as we could into the posture. And you'll begin to notice it. You'll become more in tune with what parts of your body are holding on. And then what it feels like when you mindfully and let them go, and then gravity brings you down a little bit more. And you should be feeling this somewhere around your low back and your outer hips down towards your bum, and your outer thighs, and basically the posterior and the backside. Observe 3 more breaths here. And the breath is calm and sustained with patience and peace. A regular rhythm, if you will, whatever that means. Remember, it only means something, and once you interpret it and translate it, it is meaning. You notice where you're feeling this posture and keep your head heavy. And you're welcome to close your eyes in the transition as you roll up slowly, 1 vertebra at a time. You may have realized what you were carrying and something that you were holding on to that became a part of you, but now it's part of the flow. Now it's part of the positivity. And now it's part of the process, and versus holding on to it and turning it into something you think you need to fix or something that is wrong. It's all right. It's all good. You feel a breath here, fill your lungs. Soft sigh, and you're welcome to bring your eyes back out in front of you. And remember, your eyes will figure the space, but your entire being is actually in the space right now. Let's uncross the ankles, bring your feet flat in front of you. And keep your legs bent and walk your feet over towards the right side edge of your mat. And then scoot your bum to the right side edge of your mat and roll your knees down to the left. And so right knee stacked over your left knee. And then walk your right hand over towards the left. You use your left palm to kickstand and lift your heart up. Shoulders down, so you're taking a beat to lengthen your left side body. So you're up out of your low back. And then from here we can start to come down onto the left elbow. And come down onto the right elbow without moving the legs. And you're in the process of creating a twist. Now, if you did this morning's practice, you're like, wow, I am feeling this right now. If you didn't do this morning's practice, you're like, wow, I'm feeling this right now. So it's a win-win. It's pretty much the yoga life. It's a win-win. That's why I always say it's all good. And I'm not saying that in opposition of something being bad. There's a lot of challenges and conflicts and things that come up in the practice, but it'll give you the positivity and the feature of the mind and to learn from everything that is happening. And you can stay on your elbows, or you can slide your elbows wide and let your chest and your chin come down towards the floor. And a little bit deeper in the twist. And it's nice when you allow these poses to land unexpectedly. The last thing you saw coming. But then let it land. And be a part of the energy that is grounding. And then as you start to deepen your practice in stillness, you might even feel like you're floating. And the more that you let go. I bet most of us have seen more life in the last 50 plus days than we've seen in ourselves in a long time. And we see more life, we see more parts of ourselves. And we see more into ourselves, and we have the opportunity to connect, and grow, evolve our practice, our principles and perspectives. And this will affect every single relationship that exists today in your life in real time. one more minute here in this twist. Hey, you guys, we're going to turn this transition onto our back, and so stay as low as you can to the ground. And turn your chin to the right. And slide your left arm across the mat to the right. And then you can just stay low and roll onto your back. And it's going to take the twist off, and then let your legs go long. And just like we started, lying on your back. In Shavasana, you could take a deeper breath and let out a soft sigh. You feel what once was in the figure of space and now actually developing in space that you're feeling internally. Release and relax your arms, and your legs, your head, your heart, and your hips. And close the eyes and feel this. It is such an honor to be practicing with each of you. And stretch our minds. Access a greater depth and vulnerability. You gently begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then take your arms up over your head. Give yourself a nice big stretch in the evening. Reach out, point your toes, open your mouth, yawn. And keep your arms up, bend your legs so that your feet are flat. And let's roll onto your right side and then make our way back up to a comfortable seat. And legs crossed, this time left shin, left ankle in front of your right. And remember, you can use the stack and prop your pelvis up a little bit higher if this feels pretty tight. We want the pelvis to have the ability to roll forward and the torso to come down, the weight of the torso creating the opportunity for the sensation in your outer hips. And once you get set, slide your hands out in front of you. And you feel we're not placing the hands, we're sliding the hands. And then continue to slide the hands. And let your chest and your chin And come down as you soften your belly. Go with the softness of your belly. Most people don't know what they're holding on to in their belly. They get into a pose like this and realize that they were holding on into something in their belly. If you are aware of walls that you have built or that you're holding up in protection or insecurity, let's let those walls come down, at least for the sake of our practice tonight. Heavy, heavy head. Let's go one more minute, please. And you're welcome to keep your eyes closed. Start to slide your hands back in. You feel it as you rebound into the lightness of your spine. And head comes above your heart. It's nice and to receive, and when your mind's not measuring. It could be more like a buoyancy in the expression of yourself, lightness through the top of your head. You can open your eyes and then go ahead and uncross your legs. Keep your legs bent and so your heels are on the mat, and walk them over towards the left side. And scoot your bum over towards the left as well. And then we're going to bring both knees down towards the right. And so your outer right thigh is heavy. Left knee stacks on top. Your right hand is your kickstand. Lengthen up through your spine. And that'll just bring you out of your low back and SI joint. And so we lengthen up. And for a moment first, anywhere, right, you can go. This may be enough. I'm already feeling the twist here. And so it's not about manipulating the legs and the hips, and so that you can get your elbows down, but you can proceed. If your legs can stay where they are, and then your right elbow comes down without moving the legs, and still with the length, and bring your left elbow and down onto the mat. Twist. Either way, you're feeling this. If you're not feeling it, and come back out, lengthen up, and then rotate through your rib cage, and to come down on your elbows. Let the breath be calm. There's going to be these little natural spikes. The breath induced by the posture, so no stress. You're not trying to control the breath in any way. And then you can stay or split the elbows and let your forehead come down to rest. And you might think of the detox practice more like actually being on a roller coaster. Like this one, if you've ever been on a roller coaster through a corkscrew. And please stay as low as you can to the mat. Start to turn your chin back to the left. And the right arm can slide out to the left. And so you're on your right side, and then just roll yourself slowly. The twist comes out. All the way onto your back. Adjust yourself back to center. And feel your hips, your head, and your heart And start to see deeper into that in relationship with your internal space as you let your legs go long. And be with whatever you're feeling and whatever you're processing, whatever you're thinking. And the breath is right there. Air coming into your body, air going out of your body. And enjoy this release. And start to move your toes and your fingers around. Come back to your body, wherever you may have gone. And come back to your body, reach your arms over your head. Good, and then let's embrace the right knee into the chest. Interlace your fingers onto the top of your right shin. If you need to, you can lift your head up and get your knuckles into groove and cross. And then thigh down into your belly. Let your shoulders and your head make its way back down. If you're moderately tight here, you can always hold on to the back of the right leg on the hamstring. If your chin is jutting up and it just won't seem to rest in, you can put a little pillow underneath your head. And that'll let your chin soften. And the observation of your breath come back to the forefront of your experience. And notice how we're all progressing in our endurance and stillness. And then we can meet the other parts, new parts, and relearn from old parts of self as they appear, when they appear, and for what they are. And whichever grip you have on your right leg, go ahead and begin to soften that grip. And we're going to let this leg come out into a tree leg. So the sole of your right foot sets to the inner left thigh or the inner left calf. And then let your knee fall out like a half butterfly pose, like a tree pose. And you can rest your hands on your chest or on your belly. If your right hip crease is really tight, you can always place your stack underneath your outer right thigh. And so you want that inner thigh and hip crease to soften and relax versus gripping and holding on because it's feeling so much. And it may not feel like you're doing a lot, and that is exactly the point. As we're exploring and deepening in this relationship with ourselves. And start to turn your right knee back up. And then you can release your right leg long. And feel this flow from your hip through your knee all the way down into your ankle and your toes. And remember, safety, support, love, trust, these are all key components. And that when the walls do start to come down, and that you can, or that they stay down. Otherwise, they start coming down, and then the fear and the insecurity overrides everything, and they go right back up. Truth is, you don't know. Even if a pattern has repeated itself 1,000,000 times in your life, you don't know that it will repeat next time. And let's set up our wind relieving on the left leg. Bring your knee in towards your chest. You can reach up, even lift your head if you like, and to get your hands on top of the shin. And once you're there and the shoulders and the head come down, you'll know the difference. If it feels too tight, take the hands on the back of the left leg, hamstring. And feel a breath, and when you exhale, go ahead and soften your grip slowly. And bring your left foot down onto your mat and then turn it into your right inner thigh or below the knee to the calf, and you can let the knee fall out into a tree leg or a half butterfly pose. And rest the hands, keep the face, and the muscles in the face calm. Feel this calm. And trust this calm. It's okay to be calm even if you live a very intense and high octane life. It's okay for you too to be calm. You can be both. And vulnerability can teach us to make peace with all parts of ourselves. And if you're not quite there of making peace, you could offer peace. And once you see any two parts, for example, offer it. Begin to turn your left knee back up. And then slide your left leg long. And rest your arms in any shape. And feel the release from your left hip down through your knee into your ankle and your toes. It might feel nice to take a big empty breath. Inhale to the top. Hold it for 5 seconds at the top. And with patience, you then exhale all the air out of your body until your lungs are completely empty. I'll remind you once again what was just a figure of space that you can make with your mind has now been in space that you've been not only sitting in but now traveling through. And you're welcome to rock your head side to side. And those of you listening to the music, name that tune. And then go ahead and bend your legs. Let's roll on to your left side. And then pause there in the fetal position on your left side, please. And feel a beat with your right hip stacked on top of your left. Excuse me. You can take the next minute or so. Enjoy what you're feeling and where you're at, and whatever this process is tonight, and you make your way to a comfortable cross-legged seated position. And let's all face each other. So I turn to face you. Whatever you're observing this on, go ahead and turn to face me, and we're going to visualize that we're all turning in to face each other, which means we're turning in to face ourselves. You should be able to feel yourself pretty relaxed tonight. And for this first little bit, you remember the setup was turning to face each other, which is turning to face ourselves. And for the first little bit, we're going to keep our eyes open and stare directly into your screen. I hope you all can trust in that I can see you and you can see me. And this practice of vulnerability is not easy in the world that we live in. But it could be present and with us right now. So if the openness is thriving, or even if it's not, hang in there. You can feel perhaps as the walls came down, and at least for these last few moments of your practice tonight, the walls stay down. Turn your palms to face up. It is a symbol that you're open to receive. And on the count of 3 together, let's drop in into our final meditation tonight. And we'll close our eyes in 3, 2, 1. welcome to remain seated. If you'd rather lie down onto your back, go ahead and gently make your way onto your back, and you can lie down into your final Shavasana this evening. And it took a lot of patience and a lot of courage to get to this point in our lives. A lot of courage, a lot of moments in where we had to be brave and stand up for what we believe in or what we don't believe in. A lot of moments where we had to tread through some confusion and heavy matter in our minds and circumstances and situations. But look where you are now. Whether you're doing this practice tonight, Thursday evening, live, or you pick it up later this evening, or you do it tomorrow morning, or you do it in the afternoon, look at where you are right now. And you can take this practice right with you into your sleep. You can fall asleep on your mat if you'd like to. And thank you all for your connection tonight, and for showing up to your mat, showing up for each other, and showing up for yourselves within each other. I wish you a beautiful evening, a really deep sleep, and hope to see you all tomorrow morning for our flow practice. Friday morning flow with friends at 10 a.m. Until then, namaste.